Chapter 10:16. You're too hard to predict. You played well. Sun Xiang actually acted like a captain for once and comforted Chu Fei, who was returning to the bench. Chu Fei smiled, but didn't say anything before returning to his seat, but his gaze was aimed at Excellent Era's competition booth. On the field, they didn't have any way to communicate with words. Everything was based on their mechanics, attacks, defense, movement, and dodges. In this match, Chu Fei had given it his all, but still lost. However, there would always be defeat in competition. He might have lost this time, but next time he'd win for certain, no matter who he was up against. After giving his encouragement to one of their players, he casually glanced towards Happy and suddenly raised his voice. It's just a shame that you left a Yi Chu with only half his health for me. Even if I win, there will be no honor in it. Well, there's no helping it, seems like all I can do is clear him off quickly. Chen Guo's temper flared. If she had something in her hand, she'd have thrown it at him by now. After calling out arrogantly, Sun Xiang walked towards the competition booth with his head held high. Pan Lin and Li Yibo had also begun commentating on the lineups of each team in the television broadcast. Sun Xiang is the third to go up. If we consider this, then Excellent Era's plans for the group arena is clear. They want to finish the group arena up in 3 rounds, hoping to earn at least 3 points, Pan Lin said. Yes, considering the new rules, 3 points is an absolute advantage in the group arena. 2 points can be considered being 1 step ahead and 1 point doesn't have much impact. You have to fight with your all in the team competition. If you lose, then the opponent has at least 1 point and the 2 sides will have to play a matchbreaker, Li Yibo said. If you can have the security that you at least won't lose, that counts as a psychological advantage, doesn't it? Pan Lin said. This sort of psychological advantage will only matter towards the very end, Li Yibo said. Under the current rules, the team ace should appear 4th or 3rd. Excellent Era has placed Sun Xiang as their 3rd player, a very standard offensive arrangement. However, from the current situation, I feel like they could have been a little more daring and placed him 2nd, Pan Lin said. I think Excellent Era is still wary about Yishu's strength. If it were any other god, they could be a bit more offensive, but Yishu knows them all too well, Li Yibo said. But they also know Yishu very well, Pan Lin said. Unfortunately, Yishu has changed classes since then, Li Yibo said with a smile. Okay, now Sun Xiang has entered the competition booth and the 2 characters are being loaded into the game. On Excellent Era's side, we have Excellent Era's current captain, Sun Xiang with his account, One Autumn Leaf. And on Happy's side, his opponent is the ex-captain of Excellent Era, Yi Chu, now called Yi Shu, and One Autumn Leaf's previous owner. Quote, as Sun Xiang entered the stage, the match entered the preparation stage and Pan Lin excitedly began to introduce them. His words reflected what angle the audience's anticipation came from. Sun Jiang's identity and account were clearly emphasized. As for Yi Shu, his old identity and old account were emphasized. Lord Grimm, Happy, these crucial words that should have appeared in the introduction hadn't been mentioned once. Now for the countdown, the match is about to begin, Pan Lin said. This is a battle between the current and ex-captain of Excellent Era. The account, One Autumn Leaf, that was once Yi Shu's companion for so long is now in Sun Jiang's hands and has become the opponent Yi Shu has to defeat. I wonder how he feels, facing this familiar and, you could say, closest ally. How will he perform? As if afraid that someone wouldn't be able to catch the drama behind this match, Pan Lin went over the highlights again as the match officially started. The 2 characters appeared on the map simultaneously. Without hesitation, Sun Xiang immediately pushed One Autumn Leaf into a sprint, foregoing strategic positioning entirely. Sun Xiang had thought and felt that it would be a shame that he would probably not have a chance to face Yi Shu in an official match using One Autumn Leaf. He really wanted to use a spectacular victory to establish his ownership over One Autumn Leaf, and the previous user Yi Shu was the best stepping stone in his eyes. He hadn't thought that, after a year and a half, he really did get the chance to meet Yi Shu in an official match. Though this stage wasn't as impressive as he had hoped for, the amount of attention this match had gained was satisfactory. Especially all the publicity done by the media, it made this all the more appropriate opportunity to perform his sacrifice. However, due to the new rules, he couldn't have Yi Shu duel him one-on-one. He could only act in accordance with the rules. Now, he had finally got the chance to face off against Yi Shu. It was a shame that Yi Shu was already at half health from his fight with Chu Fei. This was frustrating to Sun Xiang. If he could be second in line, that would have been perfect. However, the team wanted to emphasize security, so he had to be third. This was agreed on by their boss, Dao Xuan, making it so that Sun Xiang could an object. Now look. Their victory was secured, but his perfect plan to crush Yi Shu was completely ruined. There was no honor in winning against a Yi Shu with only half his health. Where are you, Yi Shu? Stop hiding, come out and fight me. Sun Xiang pressed forward with one autumn leaf towards the center of the map. Not seeing Lord Grimm, he immediately went to yell at Yi Shu in the public chat. Don't rush me, I'm recovering my health, Yi Shu replied. Recovering health? Sun Xiang was stunned for a moment. He had no idea that the stadium was filled with booing now. From the very beginning of the match, Yi Shu's Lord Grimm never advanced. With a shamelessness that rivaled his teammate, Wei Chen, he had hid in a corner and began to heal himself. That's right, heal himself. Though unspecialized could only use level 20 and under skills, but, for the players to fully experience the differences between classes, these low-leveled skills displayed their class distinctiveness. Clerics had 2 level 20 and under healing skills. Small heal and small cure. One was a chant to recover health and the other was an instant cast. Though the effects weren't as good as high-level healing spells, even level 75 clerics still needed to utilize these 2 skills. Low-level skills had advantages that high-level skills didn't. Small heals had a shorter chant, and small cure had a shorter cooldown. In the pro scene, these advantages were very crucial. They often needed to be able to quickly use skills. By the time the slow chant of a holy heal was complete, the one who needed the heal might have died already. The current Yi Shu didn't use any small cures. Instant casts like this had cooldowns, and they usually weren't very short, so they were usually saved for dire situations, but chants were alright. They didn't have cooldowns, so Lord Grimm was chanting continuously. The white flash of a small heal hadn't dimmed since the round began. Apart from that, Lord Grimm had a recover on him, too. He could use skills from all 24 classes. Amongst the 24 classes, paladins could also heal. Recover was a low-level paladin skill, and was a healing buff, a legendary ability that even clerics were jealous of. While on a character, that character would be healed every 3 seconds for a total of 18 seconds. Currently, Lord Grimm's health stayed at a rhythm of jumping up once every 3 seconds. This made it hard to tell what rank his recover was. This guy wasn't stopping with the heals at all. Apart from the boos of the Excellent Era fans, this scene elicited a heartfelt speechlessness from everyone present. Bringing healing to a one-on-one? It wasn't unheard of. While clerics and paladins couldn't really fight one-on-one, but there were still 2 other classes in the priest class category, knights and exorcists. Level 20 and under skills were usable throughout the same class type, that meant knights and exorcists could also learn and use these healing skills. Did that mean you were invincible if you brought healing to a one-on-one? Those who had some experience knew it wasn't so simple. Knights and exorcists could learn a few low-leveled heals, but their effects were incomparable with cleric and paladin healing. First of all, the 2 had bonuses from class specialization, and then healers also had special equipment to boost their healing. Healing was something unrelated to physical and magic attacks. If knights and exorcists wanted to boost their own healing abilities, they'd have to sacrifice other stats. After this sacrifice, no one would feel like it was unfair that they had healing abilities. So healing in a one-on-one wasn't very rare, but people like Yi Shu, who hid their character in a corner to continuously heal themselves without restraint, was unheard of. The entire audience was struck dumb. Even Pan Lin and Li Yibo were speechless for a long time upon seeing Yi Shu's actions. This should have been a drama-filled match. Look at how pumped Sun Xiang was. Yet Yi Shu had immediately turned this match down a shameless path. Yi Shu's Lord Grimm is currently healing himself, Pan Lin commentated. His passion from before had been completely extinguished. It wasn't like you could expect him to yell out in excitement, "Wow, so awesome." This god immediately hid himself away at the beginning of the match and started chanting heals continuously. The healing isn't stopping. That wasn't something Pan Lin could do. Yeah, he's healing. Li Yibo's comment was also very weak. The effects aren't as great as that of a cleric or paladin, Pan Lin said. Of course, he has no specialization bonus, Li Yibo said. He doesn't have any healing equipment either, Pan Lin said. He's relying entirely on his stats to heal. A shame we don't know if his weapon has any healing bonuses or not. The two chatted had a discussion without any substance. But if he keeps healing, won't that put a huge strain on his mana usage? How is he going to battle after that? Pan Lin finally found a problem to discuss. Just as he said this, a blue light descended on Lord Grimm. This is, Li Yibo was stunned, and saw Lord Grimm's mana suddenly shoot up. Wish. Prayer? Pan Lin stared in shock. It's wish prayer, Li Yibo wanted to cry. It was way too hard to commentate for this god's matches. You're too hard to predict. Chapter 10:17. Not that careless. Wish prayer, cleric skill. It recovered 30% of the target's mana over 10 seconds. As the skill level increased, the maximum mana recovery could reach up to 60%. It had a 10-minute cooldown. Lord Grimm was currently casting Wish Prayer. His character's mana was rapidly increasing. Everyone stared with their eyes and jaws wide open. Let alone in the individual competition, Wish Prayer was rarely used, even in team competitions. Even though it had astonishing effects, a 10-second cast time was way too easy to interrupt. As a result, even if it was used in a team competition, it could only be done when an opportunity arrived, allowing for 2 or 3 seconds of recovery at best. But in reality, it was very rare for a team competition to last so long that either side ran out of mana. It was even more rare in the individual competition. Running out of mana was usually only seen in the group arena. However, clerics and paladins didn't play in the group arena. As for knights and exorcists, who would add this skill to their weapons as a skill bonus, no one had ever made such an absurd choice. You're out of mana mid-battle, but you can recover it. And such a substantial one too? It sounded amazing, but in practice, its usage was extremely limited. Setting aside the fact that it was already rare for one to run out of mana, even if it happened, in a 1v1 in the group arena, 10 seconds of standing still would be like treating the opponent like air. If the opponent knew you could do this, it's not like they would just wait for you to recover your mana. Then what about recovering during the start of the match like what Yi Shu was doing? In that case, there was enough time. However, this scenario required so many prerequisites that the chances of it happening were next to nothing, so the value of this skill was too minuscule. For a pro player, this type of extravagance could be considered a crime. As a result, everyone was staring at Lord Grimm like they had just witnessed a crime. It was like they were at a crime scene. The commentator Pan Lin and honored guest Li Yibo were also speechless. As for Sun Xiang, he had no idea that Yi Shu had used Wish Prayer. Yi Shu had been talking about healing just before. He had been surprised at first and realized that unspecialized characters had the ability to heal themselves, but he wasn't worried. He felt like beating Yi Shu, who was only at half health, would be winning with an unfair advantage. It's all good now though. He's giving Yi Shu some time to breath. Wouldn't that make his victory all the more worthwhile? Thus, despite knowing that his opponent was recovering, Sun Xiang had one autumn leaf stroll over, letting others know that he wasn't worried one bit. Haha. Sun Xiang doesn't seem to care about what Yi Shu is doing, Pan Lin immediately said after seeing it. Yes, he's quite confident, Li Yibo said. But might he be a bit overconfident? Pan Lin wondered. Are you talking about Yi Shu or Sun Xiang? Li Yibo asked. Pan Lin looked at Lord Grimm recovering his mana and then at one autumn leaf strolling over. Both. They couldn't keep going on like this. Was this really a life and death match between two teams? These two guys weren't being serious at all. This was the Challenger League Finals, not two players sparring in-game. Wait a second. Let me recover my health and mana. Sure, take your time. These were words that players would often say to each other when sparring, but the same thing was happening in a serious tournament. How weird. How weird. Ha 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 ha, Pan Lin could only laugh. He didn't know what to say. At Excellent Era's bench, Boss Dao Zan was personally presiding over the match. His two arms were folded across his chest and his expression was calm. However, if you looked at him closely, you would notice that Dao Zan's two hands were tightly clutching his own arms. If he didn't vent his emotions that way, Dao Zan was truly afraid that he would stomp over in anger. Sun Xiang was a player who he generally liked, but his arrogance truly made his head hurt sometimes. It's fine. When Sun Xiang faced other opponents with arrogance and stomped on them, Dao Zhan felt quite good. During those moments, he was fine with Sun Zhang's confidence, even if he did what he was doing now. Dao Zhan might even laugh, feeling like his team was brave and mighty. But Dao Zhan's attitude was completely different with Yi Shu being the opponent. It was a sort of contradictory feeling. For example, when Xiao Shikan left the stage with a GG, although Dao Zhan had truly felt pleased with this conduct, he also felt a bit of regret. If Xiao Shikan had worn Yi Shu down a bit more, that would have been great too. Xiao Shikan's behavior made Excellent Era look weak and not like a powerhouse at all. You can't have it both ways. This was the contradiction that Dao Zhan felt. At this moment, Sun Xiang behavior could be regarded as the heir of a powerhouse, but seeing Yishu's Lord Grim healing his health and even finishing with a 10-second wish prayer without being interrupted, Dao Zhan couldn't stay calm. Unfortunately, Sun Xiang remained calm. The difference in thinking made him somewhat annoyed. Fortunately, Yishu didn't continue challenging his heart's limits. After the 10-second wish prayer, Lord Grim finally came out from the corner. "Are you here?" Yishu asked in the chat. "What? You're done recovering?" Sun Xiang replied. "Pretty much," Yishu said. "Pretty much. I advise you to recover a bit longer." "I'm not in a hurry," Sun Xiang said. "Huh? What's that sound?" On Excellent Era's bench, one of the players heard a strange noise. The teammates next to him immediately kicked his foot and gave him a sharp glance. That player looked over and saw the boss grinding his teeth. "If I don't remember incorrectly, this is the first time today that the players have chatted with each other," Pan Lin said. "Yeah, it seems like it," Li Yibo said. "Ha ha ha ha," Pan Lin chuckled again. The two sides had finally talked to each other, but couldn't the content be a bit more professional? The conversation between Yishu and Sun Xiang was too much like what Pan Lin had imagined normal players to be like. "It's good enough. I don't want you to lose in such an unsightly manner," Yishu continued to type in the chat. "Those should be my words to you," Sun Xiang fired back. "You can keep them." "To you. Keep them." "To you. Keep them." The crowd was in an uproar. It wasn't because the two were just talking nonsense, but rather during this time, Yishu's Lord Grim quietly circled around to flank one autumn leaf. "With just that weird mix and matched gear, you think you can beat me? You've already forgotten one autumn leaf stats? Do you need me to remind you?" Sun Xiang seemed to be completely engrossed in the chat. His character wasn't moving at all. While Yishu and Sun Xiang were talking, Lord Grim circled around to behind one autumn leaf. Sun Xiang doesn't seem to be aware of this either. He's just typing in chat. Could it be that Sun Xiang can't touch type and needs to look at his keyboard to type? Pan Lin yelled. "Ha ha ha," Li Yibo laughed while glancing at Pan Lin. However, he noticed that Pan Lin was completely serious. "That wasn't a joke? You're being serious? A pro player not being able to touch type? Do you think a pro player looks down at his keyboard when playing?" "Close, close. Lord Grim is nearby," Pan Lin shouted. The crowd roared even louder as if to warn Sun Xiang. At Excellent Era's bench, Dao Zhan couldn't bear it anymore. This Sun Xiang was too much of a child. Yishu's pathing was successful, but the key point is chatting to divert the enemy's attention. Sun Xiang is in range to be attacked. Is he going to choose to attack? Sun Xiang doesn't seem to know, Pan Lin shouted. At this moment, Sun Xiang typed out a new message in the chat. "We've already chatted for so long. What's going on? Could you be behind me?" "Whoa," Pan Lin cried out in surprise. Then, he saw one autumn leaf turn around directly towards Lord Grim. His spear, annihilating evil, pointed forward. So it turns out Sun Xiang wasn't as we had imagined, to be so careless. Pan Lin hesitated. He almost said, stupid. "Haha, I don't think such a low-level mistake would happen to such a skilled player." Li Yibo acted as if he knew it all along. Sun Xiang turned around and began his offense. Dragon breaks the ranks. One autumn leaf initiated with the move that Tangru liked to use the most, but just from the visual effects, the difference between one autumn leaf and soft mist could be seen. Were there any changes to one autumn leaf's equipment? Yi Shu could see this instantly. One autumn leaf had changed a lot of his equipment. Some parts had been completely swapped out. Some had slight changes in appearance. The club's R&D team wasn't going to waste materials solely to change the appearance of equipment. A change in appearance meant a change in stats. In the eyes of the viewers, One Autumn Leaf was still One Autumn Leaf, but for Yishu, who was incomparably familiar with this character, One Autumn Leaf had been changed beyond recognition. After dodging the dragon breaks the ranks, Lord Grim Ariel rifled backwards to pull away from One Autumn Leaf. Haha, this is you after recovering? It might be too little. Sun Shang looked at Lord Grim's condition and typed a string of words. Lord Grim hadn't advanced classes, nor did he wear any healing equipment, so his healing was rather weak. During this time, he had only recovered to 70% health. Because his heals were weak, his mana consumption was high. Yishu couldn't heal to full health. If he did, a wish prayer might not be enough to recover his mana. For a level 75 character, low-leveled healing skills without a class advancement and without specific healing equipment were very weak. Chapter 10:18. At a standstill. As Sun Shang typed this out, his character never paused. One Autumn Leaf did a horizontal sweep with his spear after his dragon breaks the ranks, using Tyrant's Destruction. Lord Grim had already been pulling away when he dodged the dragon breaks the ranks, seeming to already be out Tyrant's Destruction's range and in a good position to counterattack. However, Lord Grim didn't stop backing away there. Just as he stepped back, the mud and stone on the ground were swept across. A place where Tyrant's Destruction shouldn't have reached had been affected by the sweeping effect through the force of this attack. Oh, this is Evil Annihilation's bonus effect, Landslide, which increases the range of attacks. However, the opponent is Yishu, who obviously knows this better than anyone. You can see that he even considered the effect of Landslide in his dodge. The chances of these bonus effects on weapons activating isn't actually very high, but in an actual match it's better to prepare for the worst possibility, Li Yibo sighed. Boom! The two were still talking about Tyrant's Destruction when an explosion occurred on the field. As he backed away, avoiding the attack, Lord Grim had discreetly thrown out a grenade. Pan Lin and Li Yibo hadn't noticed at all. It was only until it exploded that everyone gasped in surprise. The inconspicuous movement had fooled everyone, all except his current opponent, Sun Shang. One Autumn Leaf's immediate pursuit made a sudden halt in the middle, obviously waiting for the grenade to go off. The timing was just right, so it looked like he had somehow ran right through the explosion, but avoided taking any damage whatsoever, Evil Annihilation still closing in on Lord Grim. Sun Shang is eagerly going on the offensive, but it seems like Yishu doesn't intend to face him head-on, Pan Lin cried out. That's for certain. Veterans have an advantage in experience. Against young opponents, especially ace players like Sun Shang, they have to fully utilize this advantage. Facing their opponent head-on would be. Li Yibo was unable to continue, because Pan Lin had only said, seems like. This was a guess he had made in accordance with Lord Grim's act of retreat. Yet now, Lord Grim opened up his Myriad Manifestations umbrella and parried One Autumn Leaf's attack, a true act of facing someone head-on. Not bad. In this direct face-off, Sun Shang actually found the time to type a message. One Autumn Leaf stepped diagonally, sending out a sky strike from a side angle. Lord Grim didn't even turn his view, whipping out a sword from the handle of the Myriad Manifestations umbrella as he jumped diagonally backwards and using a collapsing mountain as he avoided sky strike. Ah, a collapsing mountain in place. This is a type of technique that uses a backwards jump to cancel out collapsing mountain's forward jump. Yishu is able to perform it with such ease. It's clear to see how familiar he is with the foundations of glory. He truly deserves his title of glory's textbook, Pan Lin called out. One Autumn Leaf turned, continuing his half-finished sky strike and using it to block Lord Grim's collapsing mountain. However, collapsing mountain had far greater priority than sky strike, so it was impossible to complete this block with just sky strike alone. Yet, by then, One Autumn Leaf had already jumped back, avoiding the collapsing mountain entirely. One Autumn Leaf dodged it. But why did he use this sky strike to block, Advisor Li? Pan Lin asked. Hey, there's no particular reason. It's just a habit of pro players to help them get into the rhythm of battle quicker, Li Yibo explained. I can't stand it anymore. In the audience, Tiny Herb player Lu Xiaobi had been listening to the commentary on his phone as he watched the match again, but then yanked out his earphones once more. What is it this time? Xu Bin asked. They said that there was no reason to one autumn leaf sky strike just now, Lu Xiaobi said. Oh, that's not right. If it weren't for the block done with that sky strike, there would be no avoiding that collapsing mountain, Xu Bin said. The block done with sky strike slowed down the speed at which collapsing mountain descended and, at the same time, used the force to speed up his backwards jump, Gao Yingji said. Commentators nowadays are getting more and more unprofessional. Lu Xiaobi put the earphones back in even as he said this and shook his head, making Xu Bin and Gao Yingji rather speechless. The battle raged on. Neither of them managed to gain the advantage. Though both were continuously losing health, this exchange of health was carefully controlled and neither of them managed to land any critical hits. Fine techniques such as the sky strike block and collapsing mountain in place were endless in this battle. Audience members like the three Tiny Herb pros found it spectacular, but it was a shame for those who were watching the stream. Pan Lin and Li Yibo would probably only see 70% of finesse in this, and in that 70%, they would misexplain 20% of it. This was probably one of the problems caused by the late start and rapid progress of the Pro Alliance of Glory. Though they might have missed many amazing details of this match, that didn't affect the enjoyment for normal spectators. This fast and chaotic rain of attacks from both sides was exactly what the audience loved the most. However, Dao Zhan, sitting on Excellent Era's bench, was anxious. To be honest, he liked this sort of spectacular match as well. This beautiful scene was exactly what Dao Zhan hoped for Excellent Era. But not at a time like this. Who was Sun Zhang's opponent? Yi Shu. The person, whose ability had deteriorated, whose performance had slipped, who had been replaced by Sun Shang. To make sure this went smoothly, Dao Zhan had put in a lot of effort. Yet now, Yi Shu was fighting Sun Shang to a standstill. This was already slapping Excellent Era's face harshly. Like this, it was hard to say who would win and who would lose. Though Lord Grimm had started the match with 70% of his health and was at a disadvantage from the beginning, this standstill wouldn't last until the end of the match. There would definitely be fluctuations and peaks in performance in the match, especially from Yi Shu, who was behind. How could he possibly let himself die slowly in this exchange of damage? Dao Zhan couldn't stay calm. Even after telling himself that one Autumn Leaf was the stronger character and Sun Shang was younger and had more energy, he just couldn't build up any confidence when it came to facing Yi Shu. The match is at a standstill right now. I feel that Lord Grimm actually has the slight advantage right now, Li Yibo said. How come? Pan Lin was confused. Because the characters have a difference in power. Although the level 75 orange equipment has helped Happy greatly reduce the gap between them and Excellent Era, this reduction is only in basic stats. However, if you take a detailed look, orange equipment can't be as perfect as silver equipment, Li Yibo said. But we can also see that Team Happy does have some silver equipment. Wei Chen's Warlock, Windward Formation, is even at pro level with 8 pieces, Pan Lin argued. Hey, but you can't judge silver equipment just by the number of pieces of silver equipment you have. What's the biggest advantage of silver equipment? They're specially tailored to suit the player. Only if it suits the user's playstyle and needs can it be utilized to its fullest. In contrast, if a piece of silver equipment isn't tailored to their needs and only made to maximize stats, it would still be stronger than orange equipment of the same level, but it will lose its greatest advantage. Some players like faster attack speed, some players want each strike to do more damage. If you give attack power equipment to a player that prefers speed, the equipment is good, but it doesn't suit their style, so how well can its stats truly be utilized? Li Yibo smoothly explained. I understand now. You mean to say that Team Happy's silver equipment might not necessarily have reached that level of specialization, Pan Lin said. Hey, first of all, Team Happy doesn't have that much silver equipment. In addition, we don't know how Happy obtained their silver equipment, but I doubt that they have a development team working on it like Excellent Era does. So they don't really have much flexibility with their silver equipment. If they have silver equipment, then they will use it. They don't have much choice. It'll be very hard for them to reach perfection, Li Yibo exclaimed. You're very right, Advisor Li. If we look at it from this perspective, it'd actually be very hard on Yi Shu to have Lord Grimm fight Sun Zhang's one Autumn Leaf to a standstill. It's hard to believe that he still has this ability at this age, Pan Lin said. In the end, all matches depend on performance. When we say a player's ability is deteriorating, we don't get that conclusion from just 1 or 2 matches, but from a long period of observation. In this period, he might perform spectacularly sometimes. This sort of fluctuation is common for everyone. The performance in single match can't really tell us anything. Joe Sakai might lose in a one-on-one battle, but can we say that the player that beat him is now the new best player in the alliance? Lee Yibo said with a smile. I understand what you mean now, Pan Lin nodded. Okay, let's continue watching the match. The two are still at a standstill and both characters have lost around 20% of their health. However, since Lord Grimm only had 70% in the beginning, he's currently falling behind. Hey, Advisor Lee, do you think Yi Shu will suddenly escape halfway through the battle to replenish his health and mana again? Pan Lin suddenly asked. I doubt Sun Shang will give him the opportunity to do that. If he's going to let his opponent run away to heal so easily, then I'll probably even be able to beat him. Ha 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 ha. The two began to laugh in the live broadcast. That was when Sun Shang typed out another sentence in the channel. I say, isn't it time to speed up now? Speed up? Pan Lin yelled out in shock. Does this mean Sun Shang hasn't been going all out before now? This is probably a purposeful suppression of the rhythm so he can suddenly speed up and throw his opponent into chaos, Lee Yibo said. Speaking of, the two sides seem to be doing a lot of communicating in this match, Pan Lin said. Yeah, Sun Shang usually doesn't say much in matches. This is surprising. Seems like Yi Shu is a very different kind of opponent for Excellent Era. From the conversation between the captains of New and Old, Sun Shang probably hopes to prove he can do better than Yi Shu with a victory here, Lee Yibo guessed. So, is he going to speed up? Pan Lin asked in excited hope. Chapter 10:19. Wound. Shattering the land. The level 75 Battle Mage skill was heroically used by One Autumn Leaf, clashing against Lord Grimm's attack. One Autumn Leaf's powerful equipment was displayed. Lord Grimm's attack should have possessed a short hitstun effect, but the hitstun couldn't even be seen. Even though it hurt One Autumn Leaf, it didn't stop the skill from coming out. He already has a clear grasp of my character's stats. Yi Shu thought to himself. Due to Lord Grimm's full set of orange equipment, Lord Grimm's stats weren't a secret. The only variable was the Myriad Manifestations umbrella. If this were a normal weapon, Sun Shang would have most likely grasped the weapon's stats much faster, but because the Myriad Manifestations umbrella had many forms each with different stats, more effort was needed. However, daring to take the attack while using Shattering the Land meant that Sun Shang had a solid understanding of Lord Grimm's stats. Sun Shang knew that his attack would be unable to interrupt One Autumn Leaf's skill. Sure enough, despite Lord Grimm's attack dealing damage, One Autumn Leaf remained unmoved. Shattering the Lands came out. One Autumn Leaf thrust his spear into the ground and then pulled it back. A wave spread out in a circle around One Autumn Leaf. Compared to Chu Fei's combat form, the power was one step higher. The battle god One Autumn Leafs might truly begin to show. Sun Jiang's timing was on point. His luck burst forth too. His spear, Evil Annihilation, triggered Landslide, increasing Shattering the Land's attack range. For a high-level skill that already possessed high killing power, the addition the landslide effect only made it more obvious. Lord Grimm was unable to escape from the skill's wide range and was sent flying into the air along with dirt and stone. This was just Sun Jiang's opening move too. One Autumn Leaf ran behind Lord Grimm and stabbed towards Lord Grimm's heart from the back with a Furious Dragon Strikes the Heart. Getting behind the opponent was a move that pro players always did when comboing. First, it increased the damage due to it being a back attack. Second, it was harder to defend strikes from behind. These types of movements could be considered as a beginner-level Vanishing Step. The difference was that the goal of Vanishing Step was to combo the opponent without the opponent knowing the user's location, so it wasn't as simple as a back attack. This Furious Dragon Strikes the Heart was extremely sharp. A sneak attack from the back might have been impossible for anyone else to defend against, but Yi Shu was too familiar with battle mages. He didn't even need to look. He could just listen to know that it was a Furious Dragon Strikes the Heart coming from behind him. He had distinguished it even amidst the quaking noise caused by Shattering the Lands. Without turning around, Lord Grimm put his umbrella on his shoulder. With a whoosh, the umbrella canopy opened up into its shield form to block the attack. Yi Shu didn't have any other options available. Sun Shang was too fast, and one autumn leaf's attack was also ferocious. Yi Shu didn't have time to do any complicated motions. The shield form was the lightest of the shields. Even though its ability to reduce damage wasn't bad, its priority was simply too low. After taking this furious dragon strikes the heart, Lord Grimm was launched even higher into the air. Sun Shang targeted where Lord Grimm would fall and had one autumn leaf wait over there, but then he saw Lord Grimm retract the canopy of the umbrella on his shoulder and saw the umbrella ribs start to spin into a rotor wing. Sun Shang wasn't going to let him go. Even though one autumn leaf couldn't fly, Lord Grimm couldn't fly forever. Rotor wings had a limited skill duration. The flight speed wasn't fast either. One autumn leaf firmly chased after Lord Grimm. Who would have imagined that Lord Grimm was only faking it? After tricking Sun Shang to take a few steps forward, he quietly dropped a grenade without warning. Haha, Sun Shang even type a sneering emoji. One autumn leaf turned around. Evil annihilation swung up and moved along a beautiful arc, directly striking the grenade midair. Amidst the cover of the explosion, Lord Grimm disappeared without a trace. Not good. Sun Jiang's heart tensed. He didn't dare be negligent and hastily moved to pull away. 3 anti-tank missiles fell from the sky. Using the cover of the explosion, Lord Grimm shot them in a triangle, trapping one autumn leaf in the middle. Sun Jiang's frightening mechanics were displayed at this moment. The 3 anti-tank missiles were shot in a tight formation, yet this guy was actually able to get one autumn leaf to slip through the tiniest gap between two of them to dodge the missiles. Beautiful. However, no applause came. With their omniscient view, they could already see it clearly. Lord Grimm had used shadow clone technique to return to the ground. As for one autumn leaf, he was looking up in the air, attacking the clone. Blood splattered. When an assassin or a ninja approached an unsuspecting target, even a god couldn't escape from the sneak attack because the attack came without any warning. Only then did Sun Shang realize he had fallen for it. One autumn leaf rushed forward, while turning around and slashing with his spear. He first had to get away from his opponent before doing anything else, but when he turned around, there was no sign of Lord Grimm. There were only so many skills that could make a character disappear. However, with 24 classes, there were too many skills to search through. Sun Shang already reacted quite quickly, but it was still too late. By the time one autumn leaf jumped up and stabbed down with his spear, Lord Grimm had already tunneled out from the ground. Underground tunneling technique. Yi Shu had used this move against Chu Fei. Through his memory of that, Sun Shang was able to make an accurate decision. Unfortunately, he was slightly too slow. Yi Shu struck first. Lord Grimm came out of the ground, dodged evil annihilation, and once again slashed at one autumn leaf's neck. Then, a falling flower palm. Yi Shu didn't use the same moveset as he did against Chu Fei. Instead, he used a falling flower palm to throw one autumn leaf backwards. Sun Shang had grasped Lord Grimm's stats. How could Yi Shu not also grasp the completely reworked one autumn leaf? Were all of these changes to fit to Sun Jiang's style? It didn't seem like it in Yi Shu's eyes. Sun Jiang's battle mage playstyle wasn't anything original. From how Sun Shang played, Yi Shu could even see images of himself. And for that type of playstyle, one autumn leaf's original set of silver equipment had been the most optimal. The new level cap didn't revolutionize any sort of new playstyle, so the equipment configuration didn't need to be altered at all. The only thing that needed to be done was upgrade the level and stats of the silver equipment. However, Yi Shu noticed that one autumn leaf avoided this approach. If it was just to fit Sun Jiang's playstyle, then there didn't need to make such drastic changes. Then why did they do it? Yi Shu had a good guess. Excellent Era wanted Yi Shu to face an unfamiliar one autumn leaf. They didn't want Yi Shu to have the advantage of being too familiar with the character. They succeeded. Yi Shu was very unfamiliar with this one autumn leaf. As for Sun Shang, even though he had enough time to familiarize himself with it, that didn't mean it was completely suitable for him either. This completely changed one autumn leaf made it so he no longer knew the enemy anymore, but it also lowered Sun Jiang's synchronization to the character at the same time. This was a double-edged sword. For now, the damage to Yi Shu was greater. Yi Shu lost a huge advantage. As for Excellent Era's wound, if it was just limited to Sun Jiang's capabilities, then the wound wasn't that big. Sun Shang just wasn't able to reach his maximum potential. That didn't mean he was terrible all of a sudden. If switching a character made a pro player's skill level drop to 0, then that pro player was too awful to be considered a pro. This wound needed to be made bigger. That wasn't easy to do though. Just knowing that Sun Xiang was unable to play to the best of his ability wasn't really going to help Yishu win. What he needed to figure out was why Sun Xiang couldn't play at his peak and what Sun Xiang was being limited by. This was how he would beat a strong opponent. The price he would need to pay to find the answer would be extremely high. It required him to take Sun Jiang's different attacks. Lord Grimm didn't have much health remaining though and was on the losing end. By the time he found the answer, would it be too late to counterattack? Nothing was certain, but Yishu had made his decision. Because he was certain that this wasn't an individual competition, but a group arena. Even if he couldn't win, he could pave the way for their next player. In the group arena, only one person could play at a time, but it was also a competition between two teams. Even if he couldn't win, he could still provide the win conditions for their next player. This was how the group arena should be played. After using Falling Flower Palm, Yishu had Lord Grimm charge forward bravely. Right now, he had the initiative. If he had the opportunity to kill Sun Xiang, he obviously wasn't going to mind, but Sun Xiang clearly wasn't going to be so polite. One Autumn Leaf's high character stats made it so that Lord Grimm's attack effects were reduced. The knockback from Falling Flower Palm wasn't as far as Yishu had anticipated. From this point, it could be seen that the changes done to One Autumn Leaf by Excellent Era were successful. They disrupted what should have been a flow that Yishu was familiar with. Evil Annihilation and Myriad Manifestations Umbrella once again clashed. One Autumn Leaf's priority advantage was very obvious. Every time the two weapons collided, Yishu had to do more to neutralize the attacks. The two sides are fighting again. Yishu is trying to play more intelligently, but Sun Xiang is sticking close to him. It can be seen that Yishu's stamina is going down already. In this exchange, he seems to have given more chasers to Sun Xiang. In the beginning, he had been doing his utmost to limit the chasers, but now it seems like he's not able to do it anymore. Li Yibo observed the situation and felt like victory was already leaning towards one side. But Yishu has maintained the possibility of counterattacking at any time, Pan Lin said. Yes. He's not panicking. He's still playing very calmly. However, what I'm worried about is that if this continues, will Yishu still have the energy to play well in the team competition? In this match, because of the difference in characters, Yishu is clearly spending more effort and energy to get this fight to be evenly matched, Li Yibo remarked. Chapter 10:20. Not like this. Li Yibo had been making mistakes throughout the match, but this time, he was on point. At Happy's bench, Wei Chen saw the way the round was going and started getting uneasy. What exactly is he planning? Wei Chen called out. What's wrong? Chen Guo hastily asked. She was also extremely nervous. She wanted to close her eyes and wait until this round was over before opening them again. Hearing Wei Chen suddenly speak out, Chen Guo immediately wanted to ask how he thought this round would go. All she saw was that the health on both sides were dropping. Neither side seemed to have the upper hand. However, Lord Grimm had less health at the start, so if this continued on, Lord Grimm would be the one to fall. He's already lost reason. If he lets his emotions affect him, how is he going to play in the team competition? Wei Chen was somewhat mad. Chen Guo could see that Wei Chen was truly angry, but she didn't understand what Wei Chen was talking about. Don't worry. He definitely has a reason for playing like this, widely known as being wild. Sun Jeping was actually very calm at the moment. Even though he was talking to them, his eyes never left the stage. If he plays like this, even if he beats Sun Xiang, what's the point? To satisfy his vanity? To tell everyone that One Autumn Leaf's successor isn't as good as him? Wei Chen's words were difficult for Chen Guo to accept. In her eyes, even though Yishu had his problems, he wasn't that type of person. If he cared about that, how could he have let Excellent Era prance around him as they pleased? What are you talking about? Chen Guo was also getting angry. If he keeps on playing like this, how is he going to play in the later team competition? Wei Chen said. What's wrong with that? Which pro player doesn't play in the team competition after the individual competition? Chen Guo said. You don't understand shit. Wei Chen was indeed feeling anxious. His speech became much more intense. He wasn't in the mood to explain it to Chen Guo. He had carried a lot of doubt and hesitation before reaching this point. He knew very well that the current alliance no longer had a place for him. Any pro player nowadays needed him to rack his brains to beat. Even so, he had persisted until this day because his dreams still burned brightly in his heart and because he trusted the person who had convinced him to return. Even though they had once been opponents in the past, it was for that reason that he understood Yi Shu's thirst for victory. When Wei Chen came out on stage, he lost to Xiao Shikan. It took him, Tang Ru, and Mo Fan to take down Xiao Shikan, 3v1. This type of performance wasn't worthy of any praise. Wei Chen also felt disappointed and worried because of the outcome. However, he wasn't discouraged because he knew that this was only a small portion of the finals. The match hadn't ended yet. However, when he saw Yi Shu's performance, his concern turned into panic. Yi Shu was the pillar of the team. If even Yi Shu lost his reason and began to only care about himself, how could the far weaker Happy have any chances of winning? Chen Guo looked at Wei Chen. She didn't bicker about his impoliteness because she knew that Wei Chen was too scared of losing. He would be 30 this year. After 7 years of retirement, getting this one chance to return to the pro scene could already be considered a miracle. He hoped to return to the alliance with Happy more than anyone else. This was his last chance. He was an outdated player with no future for growth. His only hope lay in Happy. The greater the hope, the greater the despair. Chen Guo didn't argue with Wei Chen. She wasn't good enough. She really couldn't see anything strange about the situation, but she believed that Wei Chen wouldn't be worried over nothing. However, she was more willing to believe in Yi Shu. Even if she couldn't understand it, she knew that Yi Shu definitely wouldn't be like what Wei Chen worried for. Losing his reason and only caring about himself was only good for playing Super Mario. You must have made a mistake. I believe in him, Chen Guo said firmly. Wei Chen stared blankly for a bit and then sighed, I hope so. Yes, so it's like that. Sun Jeping had been watching the match intensely the entire time. At this moment, he suddenly spoke out, Old Wei, look carefully. Oh, Wei Chen stared blankly again. This guy is looking to give me trouble. Sun Jeping unexpectedly smiled. You guys. What are you guys talking about? What did you see? Chen Guo was puzzled. A chance, Sun Jeping said. What? A chance to win, Sun Jeping said. He can win this round. Chen Guo was wild with joy. It's hard to say if he can win this round, but Sun Shang will definitely go down, Sun Jeping said. What do you mean? Chen Guo didn't understand. You just wait for the show to start, Sun Jeping said as he continued to stare at the match. Chen Guo wanted to go crazy. She really hadn't noticed anything wrong. She looked to her left and right. Wei Chen and Sun Jeping were watching the match intently. On the other side, she saw Tang Ru's puzzled look. She also didn't understand what Sun Jeping was talking about. The anxiety in Chen Guo's heart burned. Suddenly, she thought of a bright idea and took out her cell phone. This match was being broadcasted. She didn't understand, but the broadcast had a commentator and expert discussing the match. She wanted to see what their thoughts were. Chen Guo used her cell phone to listen to the broadcast, but it would have been better if she hadn't. As soon as she started to listen, her eyes were about to pop out. The commentators were saying that Yi Shu was in an unfavorable position. Correct. Correct, unfavorable. Chen Guo could also see it. Lord Grimm was losing health faster than one autumn leaf. His health already wasn't as high to begin with. If he was bleeding faster than his opponent, the disparity between one autumn leaf and Lord Grimm would only widen. What's going on? Chen Guo really didn't understand. Neither Li Yibo nor Pan Lin could give a good answer either. From Sun Jeping and Wei Chen, she could only see them focused on the match. What's going on, senior? It looks like you're looking weak, Sun Shang suddenly said in the chat. If this keeps up, how are you going to make me lose? I really don't understand, Sun Shang continued. I'm afraid that if this continues, you won't understand how you died. Could you be an NPC? When your health reaches 10%, you'll suddenly go berserk, Sun Shang chattered incessantly. Today's Sun Shang is really, talkative, Pan Lin sighed. Yi Shu didn't respond though. There wasn't any conversation. Sun Shang seized the opportunity to talk trash. Why aren't you talking? Is the pace too fast? There's no time for you to type. After Sun Shang taunted, he typed a bunch of emojis, showing that he had energy to spare. It's about right, Yi Shushu suddenly replied and added a sunglasses emoji. What? Sun Shang was still asking. You said it. When my health reaches 10%, I'll go berserk. It's such a rare opportunity to meet. I can't leave you disappointed, Yi Shu said. Is that so? I'm looking forward to it. But it looks like your health has already reached 10%? Where is it? Sun Shang said. He even had one autumn leaf look left and right as if he were looking for the berserk. I'm coming, Yi Shu typed. Sun Shang heard a sharp whistle from behind his character and hurriedly had his one autumn leaf dodge to the side. A shuriken flew past him. Lord Grimm was standing in front of him, but the shuriken had actually come from behind. Boomerang shuriken? Boomerang shuriken wasn't a skill name, but rather a technique. When using a ninja's shuriken, throw in a curve such that the shuriken would return like a boomerang. Sun Shang wasn't surprised that Yi Shu could do it, but how come he hadn't noticed when he threw that shuriken? Sun Shang attached a lot of importance to this match. Even though he spoke a lot, he was very focused. Yet even so, he hadn't noticed when that shuriken had been thrown. His brain quickly went over the previous exchange. There had just been one tiny moment when he turned away and Lord Grimm disappeared from his view, yet Yi Shu had actually grasped that tiny opening? Sun Shang was surprised, but just that alone wasn't enough to beat him. If that was what a berserk entailed, Sun Shang was afraid that he would laugh so hard his teeth would fly out. This obviously wasn't the berserk. After one autumn leaf dodged the shuriken, it started. Lord Grimm stepped forward. His myriad manifestations umbrella changed into a spear and slashed up with a sky strike. Sun Shang didn't dodge it. One autumn leaf's evil annihilation faced it with an attack to block it. But Lord Grimm started to move the spear horizontally. The sky strike's trajectory was no longer a straight line, but a curve. Sun Shang didn't fear this type of change. He had one autumn leaf chase after the sky strike, as if he wouldn't rest if the two spears didn't clash. Who would have thought that Lord Grimm would have moved his spear back? Sky strike once again went along its original trajectory as the sky strike continued. It was too late for Sun Shang to make any adjustments. He hastily jumped backward. Sky strike suddenly swayed in front of his eyes. Dragon tooth. The umbrella shot at him like a viper. His spear's block was off and one autumn leaf was in midair. In that instant, Sun Jiang's mind went blank. He actually wasn't able to respond to such a simple attack. His hands felt his keyboard and mouse, unable to do anything. What's going on? How did this happen?